What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we got Martin of Asphyx. Thank you so much for your time today, man. It doesn't get more metal than talking with you in a quarantine zone, I gotta say.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. Yeah, you're right. Like the quarantine zone. Yeah, it's awful, but okay. At least we're able to do this. So
Yeah, and thank you for giving us new music to start off next year with as well.
Yeah. Of course, it's next year. Yeah, sure. I didn't because it's already done since a month. So I was thinking, yeah, it's a good start of the new year, indeed.
Definitely.
And so it can only get better. It can only get better, also.
Absolutely. When the decade starts off this bad, that means it can't get any worse, right?
Exactly. You just say it. Yeah.
Perfect. But with the new album, Necroceros, coming out in January of 2021, do you just want to talk about how the making of this album was in terms of the songwriting and the recording and mixing and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, it's actually we started already recording this in November last year, so a year ago. But the way we do it is we go start jamming in the studio, and then we record it. And what we thought of, it was I think 6 songs we thought were done, and then after a couple of listenings, we were like, nah, that's just not exactly. It's. I mean, we could make a shitload of improvements on this. So then we said, okay, let's do it then summer in this year. And all of a sudden, the whole pandemic arrived, and so all our gigs were all of a sudden cancelled. And we said, well, best what we can do now is take the time that we have right now, because instead of playing every weekend the show, we can now hit the studio and start finishing this album. So we made the best out of the situation, and then it took us 2 weekends of basically jam sessions and arranging all the tracks, and then the drum tracks were ready, and we could just finish it. That's how it basically worked, actually.
Wow. Do you consider this in a way a direct continuation of what we got off of Incoming Death, or do you think that Necroceros is almost kind of like a new beginning for Asphyx in a way?
No, it's more a continuation and a little bit of a new beginning, because we I think the biggest change that we made, and the most drastic one is that we changed mixer. For the production. I think a lot of people, will ask us anyway, why did you this time not pick Dan Swano to do it? Well, it's not because Dan is not because he's a fantastic mixer, and he's a great colleague and also a good friend of the band. But we just thought to ourselves, well, let's, just to keep things fresh and to keep to have a different kind of bit of a different mindset. Let's use someone else. And Sebastian, or Seb as we call him, he did a fantastic job for a newbie in the death metal productions. So that's actually a kind of a new start, a new fresh way of beginning. But Asphyx has always been we always continue from the last album that we made, and we're not a band that our musical thinking is actually quite conservative, if you can put it that way. There never will be big changes or something.
Okay, so we're not going to get any gentle love ballads from Asphyx anytime soon.
No, absolutely not. No.
Never say never. Never say never.
Yeah. Maybe when I'm in a wheelchair and 85 years of age, that I go, okay, I can't grunt anymore. I can just only moan and whatever. We start doing the blues.
That's when you call your new style near death metal.
Yeah, exactly. That's a near death metal experience, right?
Of course. But you are right in a way, because I feel like people who, if people are just discovering you on Necroceros, or if they're, Incoming Death or Death Hammer or, Last One on Earth, I feel like every fan could appreciate your entire catalog. So is it fair to say that that Asphyx always has a formula that you like to stick with, right?
Yes, absolutely. You got it absolutely right. Nothing to add to that. This is our formula, and even though with a complete different lineup from Last One on Earth or The Rack, that formula still remained. And all the members that are now in the band, they understand that formula and they stick to it. So we know. We all have the experiences with bands from the past that we loved, and that in a way betrayed us, and you really feel like being stabbed in the back by them. And we're going to make sure that from that experience, we make sure that our fans will never have that. So
Yeah.
they can always count on us. Like, we will never leave the formula that we always come up with.
Yeah. Well, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because if you do the same thing every album, people are going to argue that it's repetitive. But if you experiment and maybe do something a little bit different, you sold out. And I feel like with you guys, if the machine isn't broken, there's no need to fix it.
Thanks a lot. That's a nice way of expressing it. Yeah, but I mean, we do a few really little minor things, like I just mentioned, changing a bit of the producer or mix or engineer, whatever you want to call it, and maybe a few things like in music-wise, I think we took it a little further this time with 3 Years of Famine. I mean, it's a kind of it's like Grand Denial and Incoming Death a little bit, but then even like it has even more melodies into it, and it's even more tragic than it. And I think Blazing Oceans is like a kind of a track that people, not really expected of us. I thought it was an odd one compared to the material that we did before, but that's basically it. All the rest is really, it's just really us.
Yeah. And do you think, do you think that you mentioned that these songs, you were working on this material for about a year now and stuff, so is what we're hearing on this new album, is this how the songs were originally written, or did maybe in a year like the structure or the arrangements like change over a span of time?
Yeah, they did. Like I said, the first recordings were in November, and then we thought, okay, these are it. And then after a couple of listenings at home, we were like, no, it's not. This is not how we wanted to be on the album. So yeah, we had to shape a bit. Yeah. So there are, in fact, like there are all the recordings of it where the songs were still not finished. So it took longer, and then because actually that's the most difficult part. You can have like plenty of riffs, but the most difficult one is then to arrange it into really proper songs, and that takes quite a while. But in the end, even sometimes when we got stuck with things, and when we were in the studio, and all of a sudden, we were like, okay, so now what we got to do with this track? And that was fun because Paul just grabbed his guitar, played the first part of the song, and then looked at Husky behind his drum kit, and like they had the same idea, and bam, all of a sudden there was a new riff. So that's sometimes how it works as well. But it always takes a little bit longer. You cannot. Sometimes you're lucky and you go, okay, this song is bam, out of nowhere, it's ready. But some songs really take a longer time.
Yeah, that's got to be the most heartbreaking thing of the creative process too, where you have like a riff or even an arrangement that just sounds really good, but then as you listen to it more and more, or as you present it or listen to it differently, you realize, oh shit, this still has a lot more work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's indeed where it gets really difficult. I do remember. I mean, it was not so much on this album, but I do remember on the Incoming Death. I have no idea how long we struggled with the Grand Denial, that Doom track, and I have no idea how many different versions are of that song. there's really a lot somewhere here, and until finally, we found the right one. Now we're done, but I think even that riff is probably, I don't know, it's probably 10 years old, like the beginning riff or something, because we had no idea how to work further with it. So it kept on the shelves, and then, we took it out, like, okay, now we need to go further with it and see. But that was a really, as we call it, like, that was really a rough birth, yeah.
You ever worried that the song you leave out of a record or the original way that you wrote something will be a B-side one day and just be the biggest hit you guys ever had?
No, because if something is taken out, then something is taken out. I mean, it's not. Nah. I mean, yes, maybe because sometimes you have these lately you have all these kind of re-releases where whatever, especially from really old bands, like Purple, Deep Purple, or Free, or whatever, and all of a sudden they come like, let's say, take a famous song like Speed King of Deep Purple and go, take one or take two, and then they put that as a kind of a bonus on re-releases. Who knows that will happen with our stuff, but I don't see it happening because, I mean, the versions that are on this one are the ones that we that we appreciate most, and those are the definite ones. So why ruin it with the older ones? I think people may be really interested in but nah.
Fair enough. That's really that I really, as an artist, I really envy that quality of yours, that you're able to work on stuff, or take your time with things, put it down, come back to it later. You're not afraid to adjust things. There's some artists where that just that's almost impossible.
Yeah, but I mean, that's everybody has his own way of working to things, And like I just said, if we struggle too much on a certain track, and we go, okay, let's, put it on the side a little bit, and we wait, and we start working on something else that will work right now, and then we can pick it up later. And in the end, there's always something, there's always something coming good out of it. And that's just the way it works for us always,
Definitely.
So, it's a blessing too, because I can imagine that certain bands will have a big quarrel over things like, okay, I'm the composer of that riff, and I'm the composer of that riff, and then another one wants to have more influence in their track, and then in the end you don't have a song at all, because it's just everybody wants to be happy and satisfied with, I have a part 2 in the song, but that's not how it goes for us. What's good is good, and we take it.
Yeah. Do you find it maybe the longer you're working on something, though, the harder it is to kind of capture a moment, or is that not really even what you're thinking of in the songwriting process?
No, it's not how we think. It's not how we think. What we do think, though, is because we do have the feeling that we did improve all the time since we started back again in 2007. And first you came with Death of Brutal Way, but if you compare that production to now, yes, then I think it's a big improvement. So that is a small kind of evolution that you make. But so after for ourselves, and it's not that we get it from the outside world that there's pressure on us to perform, but it's we put that pressure on ourselves. Like, oh wow, Incoming was a really good album, and I still think it bloody is. But then that the next one has to be at least of similar quality, if not maybe a little bit better. And that's what you constantly try to achieve. I mean, it's a good thing because you're still striving for. I mean, any band is striving for perfection. There's just at least if you have a good attitude about it. And we do too. But yes, it's not getting easy in that way. But it's still all going natural. It's not that we're not forcing things. It all has to come out really in a natural way. Fortunately, it always does.
Yeah, you are all organic death metal. That's the best way to describe your genre. All organic death metal.
Thanks. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
sounds nice.
and you were saying Necroceros is kind of a continuation of Incoming Death, and Incoming Death is a continuation of Death Hammer. And I also think though every album is sort of a continuation of your evolution. So.
Yeah. It's just you mentioned it. I just mentioned it. That's how it is, and it's it's like a logical. For us, it's a really logical process. That's how. I mean, now we have this one finished, and we already said to each other look, there's still not much in sight of when we can hit the stages again. So who knows after. Now everything is done with this album because there's still a lot to do. I have to do all the interviews and stuff for it. There's still some extra videos coming out, sales, the proper release in January. But maybe from that point on, when everything gets calmer, that we say, all right, you know what? Maybe we do have enough material again to do another album before things get really busy and really hectic and everything gets back to normal again, and we have to promote the album on the stage. But you can't. I mean, I can't tell what's exactly going to happen. But we just take it from that moment on, and then we just logically continue where we quit now. Mm-hmm. I've got plenty of ideas again for because I sent it to Paul a while ago, where he said I may have already some ideas. I said, okay, will it help if I send you maybe some some topics that I may tackle? And he goes, yeah, sure. And then I think I sent him 30 or 40 ideas. He goes, what? I say, yeah, I took notes throughout the years, and I just picked the stuff that from which I think fits best to any track. And in this case, I still have a shitload left.
Well,
So.
well, as a vocalist, has there ever been a time where maybe like lyrics, or you've had lyrics written and that could help maybe influence the direction of the music, or have you always needed the music before lyrics come into place?
No, it's not always, but I mean, really exception-wise, yeah, I think those were the two last real Doom tracks of Grand Denial and of 3 Years of Famine, where Paul asked me, I may be a little bit stuck with the continuation of the track and the music, so can you give me a bit of a hint, on what you're thinking of making out of it lyric-wise, and then I just send him some rough ideas, and then he can work, just to catch the kind of an atmosphere that he needs to catch for it. That's all, but it's really exception-wise. Usually it's always, he comes with the music, and then immediately I have the idea of, okay, it's lyric-wise it has to go this way, or topic-wise, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a fast song is almost, I mean, you can never put I will never put a tragic lyric on a fast track, Well, not until now at least, because it just won't fit,
Yeah, and nothing could be more heartbreaking too than having the best lyrics ever, but then they're always like one syllable over the arrangement of every song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, being such a prolific artist, between Asphyx, your time with Pestilence, with Grand Supreme Blood Court, I mean, Hail of Bullets, Death by Dawn, being such a prolific artist, is there a different mind frame depending on the projects that you've worked in, or is there maybe like a usual creative method that applied to all of the bands that you are currently and previously in?
No, it's different in any band, Also depending on with what you work with. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned Death by Dawn, because there was a band where I said there was a work. Well, when it comes to the attitude of the guys, they were really rock and roll dudes. We were just drinking like hell, and I remember when we practiced with these guys, it was a whole weekend. I think before the practice we bought 6 or 7 crates of beers and 10 boxes of pizzas, and that was it, and rock and roll like that. And the lyrics are completely different from the usual work, so that was a kind of a a sidestep, from what I was doing normally, not really normal death metal lyrics. So it was a completely different way of working. And Hail of Bullets too, because with that I worked with concepts, and that was really difficult, because then you have to work chronologically and wait until all the 10 tracks drop in, or 11 or 12, and then you have to shift them, okay, which one we're going to take first. Then I have to build up the story. That was really a pain in the ass to do so. And the Blood Code was basically a fun thing to do with with this this fantasy kind of story with the 5 judges and whatever, all kinds of different ways of judgment and torture and punishment and stuff. So that went faster than usual, because you can just it doesn't really matter how much you write about things, and so every band is really a different approach.
Yeah. And has it ever maybe influenced on how you focus on current projects as well, or do you try to keep everything as separate as possible?
Yeah, definitely. Everything's separate. The only thing is that, and that's now that Paul and me noticed, is that we have a couple of riffs on this one, on Necroceros, that from which we think, and especially Paul was very skeptical about 1 or 2 songs, where he goes Martin, this is not like the Bullets. I say, yeah, Paulie, but you and me were 75% of the Bullets. What can you expect? Mm-hmm. I always have written songs about war, and a lot of really fantastic riffs from Hail of Bullets that came from you. So, but now we don't have to shift anymore. Now it's if you have a good bloody riff and it sounds great, then we can just put it straight into Asphyx, and we don't have to think about Hail of Bullets anymore. So that in that way it may be. People can think, okay, it sounds like it, but hello, that's Paul. That's his way of composing.
Yeah. And when it comes to the riff that feels good to you, does it have to hit you on an emotional level, or is there kind of a technical strategy that you're thinking of to make you say that this riff is a good riff?
Emotional, purely emotional. Fortunately we're all still metalheads to the core, since the whole band is since we were youths, even before adolescence, we were already metalheads. So for us, we know exactly when a striking riff is a striking riff, and it does happen at times but then Paul knows it too. Then, but he comes with a riff and he goes, "Nah, I'm not really sure about this." And then when I give it a listen, I go, "Nah, you're right. We're not really sure about this." So then goes on the side, and then sometimes it gets forgotten. Sometimes it's just not strong enough. But yeah, most of the time it happens like, "Wow, this is the one." And then, especially when you have the opportunity to jam a little bit, you go like, "You know what? Play this fucker for 10 minutes and just fucking break our necks to it." Yeah, and then we go, "Okay, this is a good one." So it's really emotional and really from your metal gut, where it has to come out from the metal guts.
Yeah. Well, my idea between heavy metal heaven and heavy metal hell, there's purgatory, and I think purgatory is the realm of forgotten riffs. That's where I think you go.
The realm of forgotten riffs. Yeah, well, in purgatory, of course, your beer's getting hot, so you can't drink them anyway. So yeah, that is a hell.
Yeah. Ooh, that should be a good name of a B-sides album, Realm of Forgotten Riffs. And I have two more questions for you, if that's cool.
Sure.
But ready for the most difficult question of the whole interview?
I have so many difficult questions. Surprise me.
Okay, so the first single off of Necroceros is Botox Implosion. Great, short, little fast thrasher song. You have 3 Years of Famine, that's 7.5 minutes. You have The Soul Cure is Death. So how do you know when a song is done?
How do I know when a song is done? Yeah, like I said, I just spoke from metal guts. So when the song is done, we know it when the final arrangement is there, and when I can say to the guys, like, all right, this is it, these are the vocal parts, I know where I have to put the lines, I sometimes already know the syllables on it, and then I said, okay guys, just leave it this way, leave it up to me, I will write the lyrics over it, and then I will surprise you all. And the fun part is that they never complain about anything. They just go, okay, we can leave it up to Martin. There's no way we have to change anything when he comes with his vocals or his lyrics or whatever. And yes, that's a good one, because of course I'm not a native English speaker. And fortunately, Paul's wife, Alicia, she's from Baltimore, so she's American, and she's also a percussionist who, let's just say, she has to write a lot of material for not just only marketing but everything. So, and her dad is was an English teacher. I think he's now retired. So I send the lyrics back to her, and she is going through them for eventual corrections, and change the grammar. And sometimes she gives me really a hard time, because then she goes, "No, this is not. You cannot use it like this." And I go, "Come on, you're messing up my whole syllables, babe." And then I know what you think, and blah, 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 and then all of a sudden it takes me 2 days to change maybe 4 or 5 lines, and so. But yes, I want to have it in correct English, of course. You don't want to. Look at the first Pestilence; it was just a mess. Or worse, the old German thrash bands like Destruction or Sodom in the beginning. It was just the lyrics were. The English was just awful.
Yeah.
So we don't want it to happen again. And then finally, when then I rewrite the stuff and I pass it back to her, and then I know the syllables are good, everything is adjusted, and then I say, okay, now I can go and record my lyrics and the vocals, and then I have two, in this case it was Alvin and Husky who joined me, because I like to have guys for a second opinion or even a third opinion, or say, hey Martin, maybe you can try this or maybe you can try that. And then once we all there in that studio, including Tom, and we say yes Martin, this is it, boing, bam, then the song is finally done. That's quickly the question, the answer.
That was a great answer. I'm actually very thankful, because I normally get the cliche, a song is never done, or you have to abandon it. I'm like, you gave it in great detail. You get an A+ for that answer. Excellent work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm going to send this to other bands I interview in the future, being like, by the way, this has to be your answer when I ask this question.
want to see their faces then. Please, I mean, please without cam, because I don't ever. I mean, it's taped over because I don't want that. Besides, the laptop is probably too old for it. But yeah, then please record that with cam and send me the faces.
Okay, we'll do. And then there'll be.
Come on, I mean, you ask me an honest answer, you get it. You know, I don't see the point in a song is never finished. Then why the hell you put it on a record if it's not finished?
Well, you know, there is the famous saying that art is never finished; it's only abandoned. But I've never really understood that, because I feel like as an artist, you are putting a piece of yourself and an experience that you share with somebody. So, you know, just abandoning it makes it sound like you don't give a shit about the art. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, but that probably there. I mean, to be honest, you know, I've done a lot of live shows, and here in Europe, you have like tons of festivals, and there's plenty of bands that I see live on stage where I go like, you know, why the hell are you guys doing it for? You know, if you consider this as a job, then you might as well start working for Amazon or God knows where else, you know, because, sorry, this is just a disgrace, you know, to the people, to your fans, and to the whole genre of metal in general, you know, really.
And that led me perfectly into the final question, because I've yet to see Asphyx live. I really hope that when all this bullshit's over, you come to the States very soon. But, like, when it comes to playing live, is there maybe a similar energy that you channel into your live presence as you do in your songwriting? Or do you feel like playing live and songwriting or recording is almost kind of like two completely separate arts that you have to perfect?
No, you write songs to be able to perform live. That's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for us, the most important thing is to be able to play live. That's the whole essence of it. That's you know, that's also like the whole essence of metal, is to go on that stage and rage and give people a good time. You know, forget all your troubles. You just go out for it, and to watch a great band, to have a good time, drink a shitload of beers, meet your friends, maybe whatever, maybe you get laid as well. You know, perfect ending on the night. That's what a live show is, and we give everything we have. And I learned that in the past from the bands that I loved. I saw, you know, the older Venom or Maiden in the beginning, or you know, and these guys, they just gave it all they had, and that's what you pick up as a kid. And you go like, okay, if I ever am able to hit the stage, I will do it exactly like these guys and give it a shit full of, you know, all the energy that I have, and that's what we do. That's what we do. And a lot of people tell us afterwards, like, well, there's not much bands around at the moment that are like Asphyx. It's just a a sea of hair that you see, you know, like waving all the time, and you know, we run, we scream to each other. It's an inferno really on stage, and we love to do it. You know,
do you almost feel though, like when that crowd interaction and stage presence, is that something that maybe you practice, or like is that something that just develops as you play more and more shows throughout your career?
That develops. I mean, I can really remember the days where, you know, you had to go on stage and you were nervous, you know, because like, well, but now you know, it doesn't really matter if you, well, actually, it's more difficult to play in a smaller club in front of 300 or 400 people than to walk on stage in front of 30,000, because in front of 30,000 you feel anonymous. And in front of those 300, they're all really close to you, and everybody's watching what you're doing, you know. But now it's like simply like this. Well, sometimes I still have this kind of unconscious nervousness, but you know, once you hit the stage, it's gone. So you know, there's no problem. But basically, when I walk on stage, it's like, it's my second living room. And you go like, okay, let's have a fucking good time, you know. Let's do it. Come on, let's rage and show them what we got.
What you said is very similar to a lot of what baseball players say, actually. I remember I was watching an interview with a famous baseball player, and he said that like playing in the minor leagues or in Little League, where it was just like a little field where just families and coolers and whatever, like that was the scariest games that he had to play. But when he was playing in a stadium, you know, everybody's words are muffled together. You can't focus on just one person. So I think, you're right. When you play like on an arena stage or a stadium or something like that, there's less interaction. I mean, they're massive shows and they're a great experience, but in the end, a club is like where you really are making the form of human connection with art.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I mentioned it. You know, and for us, and that's the cool thing. You know, people ask us many times, but we always prefer club shows, in fact, because that's where And especially like the older venues where the sweat is dripping off the walls, and then like I don't know, it's this kind of dirtiness, and then that's where the metal really comes to life. I mean, nothing against the festivals. I mean, it's fantastic that they have so many festivals and that we are able to play there, and also for all the people that can come worldwide to see all the bands they want to see in one weekend. I mean, it's a fantastic experience. But for us, the club shows are the heart of the matter, really.
Yeah, and beer isn't $15 American either at a club, so.
Exactly. Damn.
So,
that's the most expensive way to get drunk. Yeah.
Oh man, don't even tell me. That's why I don't drink when I go to festivals. I save my money for all the great food.
Yes, they better start a band and play there, and you get the beers for free.
Good point. I'll start a band and I'll hit you up for the first tour.
Exactly. And if you'll be running out of beers, then we always have plenty, because we have like no limitations when it comes to beer.
Oh.
We finish as a band we may finish like about 70 bottles a show, but well, we make sure we have 100.
and I'd imagine the rule is if somebody brings Budweiser or Bud Light on the tour, kick them out, right?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, if it's the Czech Budweiser, the real original one, that's really good stuff. But no, not that. The American is just horrible.
Yeah.
or what if you have like PBR, like Pabst Blue Ribbon, it is called.
Yeah.
Eesh.
So, on that note, before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed this discussion. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote with Asphyx in terms of, like, obviously, shows aren't happening at the moment, but maybe some live stream performances to hold us over, or, obviously we'll be seeing you on the road quite a bit when tours can happen again, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we have there is a conversation going on now amongst us as band members, like, because we know that a lot of people, especially worldwide, will not be able to see us live for God knows how long. So we don't think a stream is something for us, because we really need an audience. But we have a discussion, and we still have to figure it out if we're going to do that, yes or no. But who knows?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I can promise you have a dedicated fan base, and they'll definitely be watching from their computers. Will you cover any damages done to living rooms if, like, chairs go flying during a live stream performance?
Well, let's see. But like I said, I mean, nothing is. We're not sure, and we haven't made a decision yet on it. But yeah, it could be also for us kind of an experience that you only have once in a lifetime. Because once we do a stream and about this album, then it will be the only one. So, and yeah, by the time in a couple of months we can play live normal again. So who knows, just as a challenge, to take maybe on. But like I said, it's all it's maybe in the pipeline, and we're still talking about it with the guys. So let's see if we can make it happen, yes or no, or if it will happen at all.
Awesome.
But it's good to know that there will be at least like a couple of people in front of a screen, so I can say hello to your 5.
Yeah. But thank you so much. Everybody, we are here with Martin of Asphyx. Be sure to check out the new album, Necroceros, coming out January 22nd via Century Media of 2021. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.